My name is Stephen Lockman. I'm a curator at the New York State Museum in the History Department, and I manage our offsite storage facility. The museum moved into this facility in the 1970s, and we've been there ever since. It's currently where we store part of our collections, a lot of stuff that is available for research, for outside researchers, or objects that we may use for future exhibits or that we've used in past exhibits. Okay. So here in our offsite storage facility, we do some restoration work. If you've been to the New York State Museum recently, up on the 4th floor, you saw our Papa Burger statue. That restoration was done here in-house at our offsite storage facility. This is our next project. This is a New York Yankees ticket booth from the original Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium opened in 1923, and in 1973 they did a refurbish of the stadium, and that's when this ticket booth was taken down. As far as we know, there's only 3 in existence, the one that is in our collection, and then the Smithsonian and the Baseball Hall of Fame also have a New York Yankee ticket booth. So hopefully one day we'll see this at the museum on exhibit soon once we're done with our restoration. So this is a 1939 Pontiac ambulance. Many moons ago, the museum did an exhibit on ambulances, and this was one of the featured artifacts. This particular ambulance was purchased in Hamilton County as a pair, and they were in service in Hamilton County. It was stationed in Blue Mountain Lake until 1951, and then after that, it went to another ambulance corps in the Adirondacks, and it was actually in use until 1962, and it's an early example of ambulances being used in the Adirondacks, which makes it a very interesting piece for us at the museum. So what we have behind me here are some animal treadmills. These would have been used to power equipment around your farm. The smaller treadmills would have been used by smaller animals, including dogs. Your dog would have ran on the treadmill. A belt would have been hooked up to that big flywheel there, and it would have powered your butter churn or your washing machine. And it would have been good exercise for very hyperactive dogs. This artifact comes from Elmira, New York, out in the southern tier. So this is a wooden iron lung that's a part of our collection. We have an iron lung that we'll also be looking at. The wooden iron lung was developed during the polio epidemic, and it was a temporary solution. Some scientists and engineers, actually some of the scientists and engineers were from the Eureka company that made vacuum cleaners. They came up with this ingenious solution as a temporary solution for people that were out in rural communities dealing with polio and needed an emergency iron lung situation. And all the parts and pieces were pieces that you could get at your local hardware store. The plans for the wooden lung were in Popular Mechanic, so people could actually look at the plans in the magazine and build their own wooden iron lungs. Ours came from a church in Orange County. It's on wheels, so you could come and pick it up at the church and take it to your house, and the person that would need the medical attention could be in there for up to about 12 hours before they'd have to go into an actual iron lung in a hospital. So this is our iron lung that was donated to the museum in the early 80s from the Albany Medical Center in Albany, New York. This would have been a model that would have been in hospitals and used in hospitals. It was the last kind of iron lung that was used for polio. This model actually came out right around the same time as the polio vaccine was just being finished and going into public use. For some reason, since I've been working out here in our offsite storage facility, there's a mannequin head in here, so it seemed very appropriate to talk about this object during the spooky Halloween season. Okay, this is the original snowman ice cream sign from Lansingburgh, New York, over in Troy, across the river from the museum. We acquired this a few years ago when they replaced it with a newer model, but we have the original, and it's one of the objects when I give tours out here in our facility that people gravitate to immediately. Okay, This section of the warehouse, we have a lot of vending machines. There's two in particular that I'm going to talk about. We have a milk vending machine. Vending machines first came to the United States in the 1880s and were first featured in New York City. They vended gum on subway platforms. This milk vending machine is from Columbia County, and behind it, the bluish green machine back there, that's an egg vending machine that's very rare. Post World War II, there was a scientist from Cornell, Robert C. Baker, who it was his mission to make chicken popular for people as a food to eat. Before then, people really stuck to pork and to red meat. So he developed all sorts of different ways to enhance or get people interested in eating chicken and in eggs. And one of the ideas was this egg vending machine. This is from Horseheads, New York, also in the southern tier. And the main issue with it, why it didn't take off, is farmers needed to have electricity by the road in order for it to actually work. So this is one of a handful of models that are known in existence. Robert Baker was a scientist that was from Newark, New York, and he developed such things as the chicken barbecue and the chicken nugget.